Hey there, I'm Stefanie Flaxman. I've been a writer and editor for 20 years, and I have more than 200 videos on YouTube that help you live and work like a writer. That is a lot of videos, so let me curate my best advice for you. You can sign up for free exclusive updates at stefanieflaxman.com. I'll send you my top tips for new writers, plus other advice that works best in email rather than audio or video. It would be my pleasure to meet you at your inbox as your new writer consultant. Ready to join the club? Go to stefanieflaxman.com to sign up for free. And remember, I spell Stefanie with an F, not a PH. The proper spelling is on your screen right now. That is stefanieflaxman.com. I'll see you there. Welcome to Integrity Publishing Lesson 7. Integrity Publishing is a free audio course about content editing and rewriting in the age of AI. Each lesson highlights the most important things to cover when you edit and rewrite content, and this is the last lesson in the series. They all build on each other, so if you're discovering this lesson and haven't looked at the other ones, there is a playlist set up where you can easily check them out in order. So we're going to be wrapping up with selecting the right words, which is really important in this age of generic content that can be produced by AI. AI might be able to give you general ideas or rip off other things on the internet with language that is readily available. But writers know how to choose the right words to connect with the right people. I am talking about human writers. And part of the job of human writers is to search for the perfect words. Your search for the perfect words is an ongoing part of creative content editing. If you look at a piece of content a year after it is published, you'll likely find a word you'd like to replace with a more evocative option, even if you meticulously crafted your writing the first time around. Here's where to start this journey. You want to look for repeated words. Look for words you've repeated multiple times and find synonyms for certain ones. While writing the introduction of a post recently, I noticed I used the word magically and then the word magic a few paragraphs later. That can appear repetitive to a reader. A reader isn't going to immediately be turned off and say, oh, this is bad writing. But it's your job to craft the best piece of writing possible. So I strengthened that extra section, the section a few paragraphs later, where I used the word magic. I did that while I was content editing by changing the second instance of magic to sorcery. When you practice your craft, these are the types of changes you look for and you make. Another thing to look for when choosing the right words is making vague concepts more exact and precise. A word you've jotted down quickly to capture your content idea can often be refined. For example, I might use the word woo-woo in a draft, but edit it to the word idealistic. It depends on your audience too and what you're going for. But the words that immediately come to mind are not always the most precise. They're not, you might understand what they mean, but they might not translate as well in the context of your writing and to your audience. So the more specific word choice of idealistic in this case, in this example, rather than woo-woo, reinforces the clarity and creativity that I mentioned in the last episode of Integrity Publishing, where I talk about balancing creativity and clarity. And the change helps a reader effortlessly understand your intention. With the vague concept of woo-woo, even though you understand what it means, it might not effortlessly translate to the readers. But if you use the word idealistic, they might understand the exact point that you're going for more easily. And that's really your goal as a writer, clear comprehension. Also, you want to look for incorrect usage. Editors double check the definition of a word when they aren't 100% sure it's used correctly. Even if I am 99% sure that I used the right version of a word, I will look up the definition anyway. This is not just a tedious task that's necessary to avoid unintentional errors either. It is creative. The more intimately you get to know each word in your content, the more confident you can be that you're choosing the words that make an imprint in your reader's mind. It's also really important to have fun while you're content editing. I know I'm talking about a lot of really meticulous details and being really sharp, looking at every sentence with a really sharp mind, not a fuzzy mind. But having fun is important too, and it's an underutilized tool when content editing. You don't only have to take breaks when you write, you want to take breaks when you edit too. You need to leave enough time in between editing sessions to have fun. You've probably heard of the 24-hour rule for better writing. After you finish writing a draft, you wait 24 hours before you edit it. That way you'll have more fresh eyes and catch mistakes. And you can also use the 24-hour rule within your content editing process. Because content editing isn't just for catching mistakes. Yes, coming back to a piece of writing with fresh eyes will help you catch mistakes, but it also helps you push your creativity further. Taking breaks to do something fun, unrelated to your writing and editing, gives you space to make new connections that add depth and nuance to rough ideas. It may sound counterintuitive, but many important messages for your audience will emerge when you're not concentrating about writing that important message. You also want to customize every part of your content. When you have a goal in mind for a specific piece of content, it's important to remember that other people in your niche might have the same goal for a piece of content they create, and that is okay. It should drive you to infuse your content with all of the special qualities only you can provide. Is there something about your topic that's difficult for most people to understand, but you have a simple way of explaining it? Or have you spent time mastering a subject so you can now share your expertise in an unconventional way? Look for creative ways to demonstrate why your product or service or idea is the best resource on the topic. Having a thoughtful point of view that satisfies your target audience in ways that other content on other websites does not is what memorable content is all about. Your content will stand out because it educates in entertaining and enjoyable ways. You also need to clean up excessive text that lacks value. When you're looking for the right words, when you're taking a break so that you come back to your writing with fresh eyes, when you're customizing your message, you need to be able to spot text that lacks value. It's inevitable that some people will disagree with you or won't particularly like your writing style, and those people are simply just who you don't want to attract in the first place. What you want to avoid, though, is turning off level-headed, engaged prospects. If your tone or language distracts your ideal readers from your message, you've crossed the border into less effective content territory. For me, it comes down to respect. You want to grab your readers' attention, but not waste their time. To the untrained eye, text that lacks value might be, well, part of your content that you've tried to customize to make unique. But content editing is the perfect time to extract the goodness you intended by making your content unique, but toss out the parts of your writing that may harm your credibility. An editor's eye does that. But when you cut out your writing, what you cut out might be perfect for another piece of content. So context plays a huge role when determining what is or what is not excessive text that lacks value. The trick is recognizing when information goes beyond the scope of a post. Some of that text that you cut out might be a heartwarming story, or it might be something that you think is funny, and those parts could perfectly fit into another piece of content. I begin writing all of my articles in plain text files usually, or Google Docs, and I keep a section at the bottom of each one for all of the tangents and extra messaging that I cut out that go beyond the scope of that piece of content. When I review those sections later, I sometimes find great sentences for future articles, or even things that become blog post ideas. They just didn't work in the original places where I wrote them. And finally, bringing everything together, we want to streamline similar sentences. So we looked for repeated words, but to really craft the best paragraphs possible, we want to make sure every sentence is as strong as it can be. So you often need to elaborate on a point to express yourself clearly. But one thing that makes editors salivate is spotting two sentences that repeat the exact same information. The words in the sentences may be different, but the writer reveals nothing new. Editors love these spots because "you're wasting your reader's time" alarms go off. When you edit your own writing, it takes practice to recognize common grammar mistakes and also areas where you've repeated yourself. And sometimes repetition is necessary, but sometimes it isn't helpful for the reader. So that's another thing that a content editor really has to look for, where repeated information reinforces your message and really helps with the overall comprehension of a piece of content, and where it is just repeated text, where it's not helping the reader at all, and it just looks like fluff or extra information on the page. Proofreading from the end of your document to the beginning, that's one of my favorite proofreading tips that I talk about a lot, can really come in handy here because it forces you to evaluate your words from a different perspective. Those are our tips for today. That wraps up Integrity Publishing. Thank you for checking it out. I have a lot of other topics that I wanted to get to, so I thought keeping this series down to 7 lessons, and I think I have 1 or 2 bonuses in there. That just seemed like an appropriate length for this topic. If you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed the series as a whole, please give it a thumbs up. Any episodes that you liked, please give it a thumbs up, including this one. It helps other writers find it. And you can also subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell to find out when I publish a new episode. It will be on something other than integrity publishing, but really, I'm always talking about integrity publishing, whether I call it that or not. I think this series is just the foundation, the foundational lessons that all of my other topics that I talk about can build on, or the foundation. This is the foundation, and I build all of my other topics on top of the foundation. That's how a foundation works, right? Okay, now go save the internet. That is it for today. If you'd like to get exclusive tips that I only share in email, go on over to stefanieflaxman.com and sign up for free. I will see you there and talk with you soon.